Number 2, academic, 5.7 notes, part 2. Oh, I didn't collect the homework, did I? Let me nab the homework. Get this HW from you all. Good. Any other homeworks? It's kind of a small. Seems a little thin. Seems a little thin. Okay. Well, if we haven't done the 5.6 homework, you are in a jam. You're in hot water for this quiz. Okay, just gonna throw that out there. Additionally, yeah, you'll have a late penalty on your homework. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, 5.7 notes. Do we know where we left off? We were doing difference of squares, right? H. H. Okay, H. Get us a good brain warm-up. What kind of factoring problem is this? What kind of factoring problem is this? Who knows? Who knows? Quinn Hunt. What kind of factoring problem is this? You don't know? All right, yes. Close. Good guess. No, not quite. So anyway, what's the first thing I do? Like no matter what? Look for a perfect square trinomial. Or I don't look. Sorry, I look for a GCF. Is there a GCF here?
Yep.
What's the GCF?
Oh wait, no. You
Yeah, difference of squares. Really good. Yep. How did Anna know that? How'd you know that?
Because I wrote down the formula.
Good. Yes. But how'd you identify this?
Oh, because it's minus.
Yeah. So there's a minus in the middle. There's two terms, and they're both perfect squares, right? Y squared is a perfect square. Okay. Any number squared is a perfect square. So y squared is a perfect square. 81 is a perfect square. Then what's my answer then, Anna?
Parentheses y plus 9, then parentheses y minus 9.
Good job. Good job. Awesome. Good. Anna saw then. What if it were y squared plus 81? Can I factor that?
It'd be a...
Okay, so what we need to do now is
No.
Good job. Yep, you can. Okay. So they're gonna try to trick you. Okay. They're gonna try to trick you guys. Okay. If there's a sum of squares, you write prime. Okay, you see it's y squared plus 81. If it's a difference of squares, then you can factor it, just like that. Okay, you feel okay? All right, it's not too bad, not too bad. Okay. Who wants to do I? Anyone? Any takers? All right. Let's do Emily Day. How do I factor I?
Well, first you can look where there is.
Yeah, is there GCF? No, so what do? What's this look like? It's a difference of squares, yes, right? Because there's a minus sign in the middle, and then I have two perfect squares right here, 25z squared and 1/16, right? What's the square root of 1/16?
1/4.
Yeah, so one gets a plus, one gets a minus. 1/4, 1/4. What's the square root of 25z squared?
5z.
Yeah, so you guys feel okay about difference of squares? Those should be the gimme problems. They should be gimme points, okay? Those should be like, you know, it's your 23-yard field goals, okay? They should be like, all right, or you know, QB sneak on 4th and 1 or something. You know, they should be gimmies, all right? Or free throws. There's like the free throws of the quiz. I'll stop making analogies. Okay, Jay. Avis Gonning. What have I got here?
You got a trinomial.
I don't have a trinomial. Okay, actually, in some sense I do. But how do I factor this? What kind of factoring formula am I going to use? So 64, is that a perfect square?
Yes.
Is there a minus sign?
Yes.
And is x plus 3 squared? Is that a perfect square?
Yes. Difference
Yes.
of squares.
Different squares, yeah. So same deal here, guys. Same deal. So it looks a little fancy. Same deal. You draw your two parentheses. One gets a plus. One gets a minus. In the first space, Ava, I write the square root of which term?
X plus 3 squared.
Yes. What's the square root of x plus 3 squared?
X plus 3.
It's just x plus 3. What's the square root of 64? You know this.
I do, it's fine. 8.
8. Good job. So my answer is x plus 11 times 5. This will be another one, guys, where if you, so this is the answer, this is correct. But this is going to be another one where if you FOIL it back out, you'll actually get something different than what the original problem looks like. That's okay, because the original problem isn't simplified all the way, okay? So if you FOIL it back out, you'll get x squared plus 6x minus 55. Okay, this is the same as the original problem if you expand out with x plus 3 squared. Does that make sense? So I don't want you guys to be thrown off by that. This one. Let's do Charlie.
Oh, I guess you would see that 75 is not a perfect square.
What are you forgetting? What step?
Oh, GCF.
Yeah, what's my GCF?
3.
Yeah. Ah.
There we go.
Now what are you thinking?
Yeah, so 25 is a perfect square and there's a minus.
What's this factor to?
So it'd be x plus 5 and then x minus 5.
Good job. And then don't forget what? Don't forget to drop down that 3, okay? Make sure you will get points off if you forget to drop down your 3. Okay? Forget to drop down your 3 and you'll get a C or a D. Alright. Okay. L is like a pretty much identical one. I want to move on to the next topic. Okay. So we talked about perfect square trinomials. Remember, right? What do we say? If the first one's a square root, last one's a square root, and then then we write down. So I'm going over number 1 again. We write a equals x, b equals 2, right? And then if that middle number here, right? If 4 equals 2ab, then we just write this as a plus b quantity squared, okay? One thing I want to say, I want to make a note about this, okay? So, perfect square trinomials, so like Max Finn, okay, if I name drop you. Some people are saying, so Max Finn was saying like, hey, perfect square trinomial stuff confuses me, but like the last homework was really easy. If you want to, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this, but you can just like factor these like we were doing earlier if you want. Okay, it's a lot easier to do. It's a lot easier if you recognize that it's a perfect square trinomial, okay? And don't blame me if like you do it the long way and you run out of time, but these can be done. If you're in a pinch and like you're stuck and it's like the last problem, you're done with the rest of the quiz, you can just factor these the normal way. Does that make any sense? Just like we did on the last homework. What do you feel, okay? Okay, cool. Just want to make that clear. So just try this with the factoring quiz. This is going to be a tough quiz because like you guys have just learned so many different ways to factor. So like this is the part in math where like it stops being like, hey, you just do the same thing every time. Like you follow the recipe, and it starts to become like use your tools, like use your tool belt. You know, you're like a welder now. You know, you got like your torch and I don't know welding tools. But. Can we move on to the 2 then? This is our last factoring method. The last factoring method, we need to learn it. Right, don't stress out too much about it. Factor completely okay. So these are what? Anyone notice anything about these problems? What's it? Who said that?
Cube.
Yeah. So they're all cute. So right. So we have difference of squares, right? You have difference of squares, where there's a special way to factor those. Okay. Sum of squares is what? We write what if we see a sum of squares? Prime. We write prime if we see a sum of squares. Now we're going to talk about sum of cubes and difference of cubes. So sum of cubes and difference of cubes. Okay. So do you guys know what I mean by cubes? Perfect cube. So do you guys know what a perfect square is? It's a number whose square root, right, is a whole number. Right? So square root of 4 equals 2. The square root of 9 equals 3. The square root of 16 equals 4, right? What do you think a perfect cube is? What's a perfect cube? What's a perfect cube? Anyone have any guess what a perfect cube is, Sheldon?
Same number that can be down to get to a number.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So the cube root, we write it like this. little square root symbol with a 3 there. The cube root of 1 equals 1. The cube root of 8 equals 2. The cube root of 27 equals 3, okay? What it means for 3 to be the cube root of 27 means that 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27, okay? That's what it means. So that's a little background on perfect cubes. You didn't talk about that in Algebra 1. You do learn about it in Algebra 2, okay? We start to talk about that, okay? That's what it means for, any questions on like what it means for a number to be a cube root? Okay, it's just like a square root, but it's multiplying by itself. So like 2 is the square root of 4 because 2 times 2 is 4, okay? Well, 3 is the cube root of 27 because 3 times 3 times 3, right? 3 times equals 3 to the third equals 27, okay? Right, and then I'm sure you can extrapolate. There's 4th roots, 5th roots, all that stuff. We're just going to talk about cube roots for now, okay? Are we feeling okay about that? Just want to give you a little bit of background, okay? So if you see factoring problems where you have 2 perfect cubes either added or subtracted together, those can be factored, okay? Those can be factored, okay? So here, x cubed is a perfect cube, right? Any number cubed is a perfect cube. 8 is a perfect cube, okay? 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. All right, so the way you do this, is, okay, write this down, right? You use SOAP. You use SOAP to factor these. All right, use SOAP. What does SOAP stand for? Same, opposite, always positive. Same, opposite, always positive. So that's a little acronym. What that helps you remember is all the signs. So sum or difference of cubes is going to factor into I'll show you the form. Okay. Okay. So let me check myself. Yeah.
What is the A?
The A is always positive. Always. Yep. Same, opposite, always positive. Yep. I want to make sure I don't write something down that's wrong. Good stuff. It's the best Google image. Okay. So here's what happens, okay? So let me think of the best way. Are you guys? I'm using A and B a lot. Would you guys rather I use 2 other numbers or 2 other letters? Can I use like what should I use? 1, 2 good numbers. I'll use like I'm spending way too much time deliberating on what numbers I should use or letters I should. I'll use K and W. There we go. I feel like those aren't too hard to get mixed up with. So if you have K cubed plus W cubed, the answer, this is a general formula. It's called the SOAP formula, okay? It's going to be W plus K times W squared minus WK, W times K plus K squared. Okay, and then if you can keep factoring this part, you keep doing that, but okay. Likewise, right, and this is where the formula comes from. The sign, the first sign is the same. Then it's the opposite, right? The minus, right? That's the opposite. And then this last one is always a plus sign. This last one here is always a plus sign, okay? Right, so same. I'll color code the same. I'll write in yellow, opposite. Okay, then always positive. Okay, so then a difference of cubes would give me what? So K cubed minus W cubed gives me what then? W, K, what's the sign there? If it's the same as what's given in the problem, what's that first sign there? Is it a plus or a minus? It's a minus, yep, same. Right? And then opposite, this will be a K squared. Yeah, same. An opposite, so same opposite. So what's the second sign going to be? Positive, and then WK. And then always positive. So what's that last sign? What's the last sign? Yeah, it's positive. Yep. Okay. And I think for this one, I think this upper line here, I think there should be a k squared here. I'm sorry, this should be a k squared, this should be a w squared. Good stuff, okay? So that's it. It's pretty formulaic, okay? So for A, first thing you do, you write down the cube root of x. So what's your k equal to? What's the cube root of x cubed? X, good. Okay, we're ahead of the curve. What's your w equal to? The cube root of 8. 2, yeah. And then you got a plus or a minus here? You got a plus. So you use this formula, okay? So it's going to be k. What's k? It's x. Or w. What's w? It's 2. So 2 plus x. Okay. All right. K squared is x squared. All right, and then it's going to be a minus w times k, so 2x. And then a w squared, which is 4. All right.
Isn't it k cubed?
No. You okay?
I felt all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it right there. Am I done? So how do I check my answer? How do I check to see if I got the right answer? Leah, how do I check to see if I got the right answer? So what do you mean by solve? Like expand back out? Yeah, I can expand back out. What's the other thing? So this hasn't been a big problem, but what was the other thing I said I've been saying to do to make sure you have the right answer? What's that? Yeah, so that's what we're saying. We can check our answer, like to see if we got the right answer. Like if we factored correctly, we do the claw, or we do the foil, or we foil, whatever we have to do to expand back out, to multiply everything back out. So if it's two binomials we factor, like this, it's the claw method. What was the other thing we have to check for, though? What's the other thing I might take off for on the quiz if you don't do this? You have to factor all the way. Are we done factoring? No, we're not. What can we still, we can keep factoring. What can we factor? In green here, we can keep factoring this, guys. We can still factor that. How do we factor that? All right, we set up our brackets. It's just going to be like any other trinomial we've done. Okay, my signs are both negative. All right, factors before that up to 2. Oh wait, we can't factor that, I'm sorry. But on some of these we can, we will be able to. So look, sorry, I'm trolling. Yeah, so we watch out for that. Make sure that you can't keep factoring, okay? So this is actually just our answer. Sorry about that, I did the math wrong in my head. Yeah, so that'd be the answer, but make sure you check. I'm still gonna highlight it. Make sure you check. Make sure to check you can't keep factoring. Let's write that down. Make sure to check you can't keep factoring. Okay. So for B then, for B, what's my K? K is X. What's my W? 1. Is it a plus sign in the middle or a minus? Plus. So I'm going to use that K cubed plus W cubed. So it's going to be X, same, plus 1, then X squared minus 1 times X, which is X, and plus that W squared, which is 1. Okay. make sure you check that this can't still be factored. If it can't be factored anymore, you can just circle the answer. All right. All right. So that's our answer, okay? And then we would, to check our answer, right, we make sure we can't keep factoring, and we also would just multiply back out with the claw method, okay?
Can you show the formula again?
This is it right here. So if you forget the sign, it's actually not too hard to remember. The only thing that's easy to forget is like the signs. The signs are just different, right? And remember, notice the only difference between the sum of cubes and difference of cubes is these pluses and these minuses are switched. You see this?
Yeah, I just wrote it down.
No worries. Okay, so same, so soap, you gotta use soap. All right. Same opposite, always positive. How are we feeling so far? We feeling okay? Yeah? No, not good? All right, okay, we'll keep practicing, okay? All right, yeah, so Molly, what's my K here? Well, first of all, what do I do first? What's that? So, do I have a GCF? No, okay, yeah, now what do I do? So, what's my K here? So you write down K, your W. Are you having trouble seeing like why we're writing down what we are for those?
No, it's just like the formula.
Okay, okay. So what's my K? Yeah, good job. And what's my W? What's my W? So you do the cube root of this. Yeah. 3. Good job. Yeah. And what kind of sign do I have in the middle? Yeah, so it's a minus, okay. So I'm gonna use which line up here? The first one or the second one? Second one, yeah. So you just fill it in. So, right. So where I put, I'm gonna try to get the screen. So I'm gonna write 2 parentheses, a shorter one and a bigger one, okay. All right, and then I'm gonna write W in, right. I'm gonna fill in what W is. What is W here? 3, and then what sign does it say? Minus, what's my K? Y, yeah, yep, there we go. And then I put what next, Molly? Yeah, so what's K squared here? Good job, yep, Y squared. And then what sign comes next? What does the formula say? Add, yeah, and then I put what? Yeah, so what's that here? 3y. And then I put what sign? Yeah, and then what's W squared? Yeah, which is 9. Good job. Yep. Good. So hopefully that helps. Just take some practice, okay? It's gonna take some practice, okay? What are the 2 things I need to check? Yeah, can I keep factoring or no? You can try. So we would need what? We need 2 factors of 9 that add up to 3. So you can either check that way, hey, you can't have 2 factors of 9 that add up to 3, or you can use that b squared minus 4ac formula. Right, so here it would be 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9, which is less than 0, so it can't be a perfect square. Okay, so we know it can't be factored anymore. So this is our answer. All right. All right, good stuff. Okay, so for D, who wants to do D for me? Joey Kinesco, can you do D?
Yeah,
All right, Denai, you almost done?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay, just leave it on my desk. Who's your teacher again?
Bamrick, early source computer.
Linda Bamrick.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a question about the last one. Would it not be 3y minus 9?
No, it's not. So that last sign here, I think I know what you're talking about. This last sign right here, is that the one?
Yeah.
That's always positive.
Oh, it's always
It's always a plus, right? Same opposite, always positive, always a plus. So that last symbol is plus, okay? Okay, just leave it on my desk tonight. We're good.
Okay.
Back to source. Just emailed Mrs. Bamrick.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Good stuff. Okay, so we're going a little slow today. That's okay. 64 plus a to the 6, Joey. What's my K? What's my W?
Your W would be 4.
So the
K would be 4.
What's that? K would be 4. Yeah. What's W?
Would just be Y.
No, so it's A, right? It's the cube root of this. What's the cube root of a to the 6th? Anyone have any guess? What the cube root of a to the 6th is? A to the 2. So what you do here, to find the cube root of a to the 6th, what you do is you just divide the 6 by 3. Okay? So that becomes a squared. Okay? You just divide the 6 by 3. So that W is a squared. Okay? Let's plug everything in. Okay? So what does my formula say? K plus W. So 4 plus a squared. And then here, right, I'm going to have k squared, so 16, opposite W, so 4a squared, and then always positive, so plus, and then that'll be a to the 4th. Okay.
Is there a ratio?
Yeah.
I'm confused on when you plug in like the first parentheses because it says W plus K, but then like you flipped around the K and W. Does it really matter if A or 4 goes first?
Oh yeah, that doesn't, for plus it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Thanks for pointing that out. I think this should actually be, I'm sorry guys, so go back to the form, I think that should be a K minus W there. No. You can, because K plus W equals W plus K. This should be a K minus W, I'm pretty sure. Sorry guys, sorry.
Just for the subtraction.
Yeah, just for that, yeah. Doesn't matter for the addition because you can flip it around. Sorry about that. Yeah. My bad. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, A always comes from, yeah, so K and, sorry about that. Thank you, who pointed that out? Thank you. Yeah, that should be, but W plus, so I could have written the a squared plus 4. And then, right, I can't factor either of these anymore, so that's my answer. Okay. Good stuff. We're feeling okay about this? It's pretty formulaic, it's not too bad. Let's come down here, let's do one of these harder ones. This is like a whole mishmash. This would be good test or quiz review. Really, this is like all we need. Everything we've talked about is all you need for the quiz, okay? So we're not going to get through all these today. I think we might just move on. But this will be a good review for the test or the quiz. Okay? I right here. So I want to make sure I and K. So for I, how do I factor that? What is I? What are we thinking? Anyone know what kind of factoring problem this is?
Not possible.
It's a difference in squares. Yep, so there's a perfect square here, 16 the perfect square. We all see that? Okay, there's a minus sign, right? And then x to the 4th. Is x to the 4th a perfect square? Yeah, it is. So I want to say this. If you have a variable raised to an even number, it's a perfect square. So x squared, x to the 4th, x to the 6th, x to the 8th. It's a perfect square, okay? If the exponent is divisible by 2, it's a perfect square. If it's divisible by 3, it's a perfect cube, okay? 6 divided by 3 equals 2, so x to the 6th is also a perfect cube, okay? So we're starting to get into the depths of algebra here. So then what would the answer to this be then, Paige?
It would be 4 plus x squared.
Yeah.
4 minus x squared.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, and then am I done? we're not. So we factored once. What can we still factor then? We have another what? We have another difference of squares. Okay, so bring down this factor, and then what? How do I factor what I just underlined in squigglies page?
2 plus x, 2 minus x.
Good job. Yep, that's it. Done. Okay. I cannot factor 4 plus x squared. Do not factor sum of squares. You can do the difference. Okay. So good job. Good job. And then K is a good one. And I think J is a grouping. Yeah, I know P is. Yes, it is. It is. J is grouping. Okay. Let's do J. I want to do J. You guys okay if I do J real quick? J. So there's 4 terms. So we check for a GCF. Is there a GCF? No. Okay, so there's 4 terms here. 4 terms, okay? When there's 4 terms, what am I tipped off to? What's that a hint for? What factoring method? Yeah, grouping, right? If there's 4 terms, we're going to think maybe grouping. So let's group the first 2, right, in red. I group the second 2 in blue. What do I do when I have to, so there's a minus sign in the middle here, right? So what do I have to do when I group the second 2? We talked about this. We gotta change that to a minus 16, right? So let's make that a minus 16. It's gonna be m squared minus 16, okay? All right. So what can I pull out of the red? What can I pull out of that? M cubed. So I have m squared minus 16 minus m squared minus 16. What does this factor to? So what do we say about grouping? We just write down whatever the common thing is here, then what do we make under pair of parentheses? It's the coefficients, right? So it would be m cubed minus 1, okay? And then we have what 2 problems here? We have what? So I'm going to highlight this first one in green. Can I keep factoring that? Yeah, it's a difference of cubes, okay? And then can I highlight the second one in orange? Can I keep factoring that? That's the difference of squares, right? So I'll factor, let me factor what's in orange real quick for you guys. So that'll be m plus 4, m minus 4, okay? And then m cubed minus 1, that'll give me, so same. Opposite, always positive. That'll give me m minus 1, m squared, plus m plus 1. Okay? That'd be the answer. Good work today, guys. 5.7 homework for tomorrow. Hey guys, good work today. Good job. On the 83, how do we do like the cube?